Yeah, my name is John. I work at Quantcast. We are a marketing platform. We specialize in customer acquisition, and we operate across the open web, so everything outside of search and social, so websites, CTV, podcasts, apps. And before I start telling you a bit more about Quantcast and potentially how we can help you, I just want to give you some information. I spend about 90% of the money I spend on clothes with these 7 brands. I buy from other brands as well. I buy like basics from Uniqlo and stuff, but I would say like 90% of what I spend in a year goes to these 7 brands. And I really love them. They're my faves, and they've been this 7 for quite a while, and they sort of mean a lot to me. And they've all got a lot of things in common. They've all got a kind of cool-looking, handsome founder that I kind of want to be a bit like and like to hear from. They all make clothes that I can wear into the office and wear at the weekend, because that's kind of important for me. It's easy. And they are all doing, I think, the best they can in the sustainability and community space. If I'm going to have like a long-lasting relationship with a brand, that feels important to me. They've all got really cool websites. You go on there and you get like a trailer, a video. There's a horse on there. It's inexplicable. And they're like heavily optimized. There's lots of kind of like offers on there, but it doesn't feel heavily optimized. And then lastly, I buy all of the clothes online, but they all have stores within like a 15-minute walk of the Quantcast offices. So if I do need to take something back or try something on, I have that option. And I think this tells you something about the convergence of their kind of target audience, that they're all situated around this same part of Soho, Covent Garden. So we have these 7 brands. I love them all dearly. But every time I buy clothes, which is kind of irregular, I don't buy clothes every payday. Sometimes I can go ages without it. Sometimes it will happen quite often. Sometimes it's circumstantial if I'm going to an event or a wedding or something. But every time I do buy clothes, they're in a battle. And it's kind of a fierce battle for a share of my wallet. And the battle takes place mainly in these areas. They all have my email address, and they email me. And sometimes I read them, sometimes I don't. They are all in my social feed, often. And sometimes, increasingly, their founders speak on LinkedIn, and I see them on there, and I enjoy that. But this year, there's one brand who stepped outside of this and started reaching me and communicating with me in a different space. And that is Wax. This year, they've started popping up on videos that I watch habitually. So I watch kind of Premier League highlights every Sunday morning. And I do that on my phone, or if K-pop Demon Hunters isn't on the TV, I'll get it on the TV. I see them around articles that I read commonly, so I've got like 10 websites that I visit every week, like sports websites, food websites, music websites, and I've started seeing them run those lovely like billboard or double MPU ads alongside it. And I see them on apps that I visit a lot. They're kind of boring apps, like train line apps and stuff like that, but I see them there, and it's been building up this nice frequency. So the key question is it working for them? I think it is. It's nice, right? It's mohair. It's a little bit itchy, but I can put up with it. But on a serious note, I know the kids these days like talking about having receipts for things, but I really do have the receipts, and I looked it up, and this year, 60% of what I've spent on clothes has gone to Wax. And it's really easy and reasonable to say that that is a sample size of 1. Causation, correlation. But if you think about it, there is a lot of commonalities between these brands. Like the product quality is really similar, their sustainability stories are similar, the price points are really similar, and of course there'll be lots of different factors that will mean one will steal share over the other, but a huge part of that has got to be down to marketing. It's got to be down to how they are reaching me. Are they reaching me in those right, quite unpredictable moments when I'm about to spend, and are they telling their brand story? There is marketing science to back up this sort of gut feel that I have. It's a really, really competitive market. So e-commerce is $6 trillion globally. It grew by 11% last year when not a lot of things were growing. On average, across categories, people consider about 7 to 8 brands when they're making any purchase. And frequency can affect recall by up to 80%. And 80% is a really big number if you're in that sort of fierce battle with other brands. So we have the marketing science, and when I scan through that, it makes sense to me. E-commerce, super competitive. I only shop online, really. 7 to 8 brands, for me, it's literally 7. I've listed them out. And this year, I've edged towards one of those 7 brands, and I think that feels about right. The extra times that I've seen them around online video and they've been on my TV screen, it feels like they've sort of stolen that share with a number that feels like 80%. So we've got that sort of gut feel and then the marketing science combined. It wouldn't be a 2025 presentation without some AI slop, so here it is. But this is kind of equivalent of what Wax have done. They're of course fishing in the pool where their competitors are. It's essential. If I was building a brand tomorrow, I would start in search and social, obviously. But they've also sort of popped another fishing rod into another pool where their competitors currently aren't. And obviously, not everybody can do this. You need to have the budget. Things are really hard. You need to see instant returns. But it's something they've tested, and I think it's working. The pool sizes here are intentional because people spend 60% of their time on the open web. And we don't often think about it like that because search and social, well, particularly social, is so intense. You get into 1 or 2 platforms and you sort of scroll endlessly. And what's happening on the open web is a bit more fragmented. This is what we stream on our TVs. This is the apps that we visit. This is the podcast we listen to. But on average, across Europe, that's 60% of the time that people spend online. So it's a big, big opportunity. So that's where Quantcast come in. We have built a performance platform that allows you to acquire new customers across the open web. And I'm just going to give you 3 reasons why I think you should try it out. So number 1, it's really, really easy. What's not easy is what's happening under the hood. We have something called an audience graph. This is what powers all of our decisions, how we understand what potential customer might be right for your brand in that exact moment. And it processes trillions of signals every day. To be precise, it's 40 petabytes of data a day. And if you're not down with your petabytes, that's the equivalent of every song on Spotify 300 times. It's a lot. It's our biggest cost center. It's our biggest overhead, just processing and maintaining that amount of data. But it's non-negotiable for us because it's what drives our performance. It's what allows us to give value back to the brands we work with. But what is simple is using the platform. So you go in, you download our Shopify Pixel, you drop it across your site, and setting up a campaign is really easy. You tell it your objective, and most of our customers now use this feature, which is audiences by queue. And this is an automated way to find all of your multiple profiles of audiences. Because what we see globally, we've been going for 20 years, and there's been long periods where our performance has been not as good as we knew it could be. And this is because typically, large agencies that work with big enterprise brands are making assumptions about who their brand's customers are. We think they are males between this age, and these are their interests. And obviously, audiences are way more diverse than that. I know we've got Yeti in the room today, and I've got loads of friends that buy lots of Yeti products, and they've never been out of zone 6. You know, they're not campers. So this approach allows you to use this vast data set to understand all of your different audience profiles. And then once it's set up, you can just allow it to optimize. And you get this lovely running total of the decisions that have been made, what devices are being used, and what's working, what's not working. This approach of using audiences by queue instead of making assumptions about your audience is delivering really, really good results. So finance customer we work with, they've worked with us for years. They normally have been using sort of keyword targeting. So if we want to find people for a business account, we'll make all these assumptive guesses about what they might be searching online or what websites they might be visiting. But when they switched to audiences by queue, they saw an 88% lower CPA. So this is about giving a little bit of trust to AI and knowing that actually there's some things it might be able to do better. When it's at like a macro scale of like loads of tiny decisions, this is going to be a better approach. The platform is super interactive. So we have our own version of sort of ChatGPT in there. We all use it in our daily lives now, and it can be quite jarring to go from your sort of consumer technology into corporate technology, and it's just not the same. So we've introduced this agent queue. You can go in, you can say, how is my ROAS today? What is my CAC? Do you have any suggestions of how I can improve it? And it will give you the responses. Our customers ask like really interesting questions. They ask questions about platform capabilities. They ask expansive questions about how they can improve campaigns. But loads of it is about reporting, just needing really quick answers. And what's nice about Agent Q is it goes back and asks clarifying questions. It has guardrails that are all optimized towards improving your performance. What we're trying to get right here, someone was asking the difference between like the US and the European markets. We're trying to get the tonality right, and we made a request to our US-based engineering team if they could make the language a little bit less American, and we were getting words back like, oh, crikey, click-through rates have gone through the roof. Oh, biscuits, your creative isn't working. And we're like, not that British. So the platform's insightful. This is one of the things we've learned. We've been an AI business since inception. Our founder is an expert in machine learning. That's what he did his PhD in. And it was not cool for a while. For a long period, people did not want us to talk about it. They felt like it was a black box. Now it's more mainstream. But we know, we've learned over that 20-year period that you need to partner the automation with insight. So people understand what's happening. These are your hard-earned marketing budgets. You need to know what's happening. So we've made it super insightful. One of our customers at the moment is LTA, the Lawn Tennis Association. They're trying to get people to book more tennis courts. And they run a campaign, they go into analysis by Q, and they get this lovely sort of narrativized version of what's happening in their campaign. And we can see that this campaign is currently in the top 5% of the ad sets in your vertical. So you know you're doing pretty well. When it comes to booking and like ticket fulfillment, they're in the top 5%, kind of smashing it. Excuse the pun, I didn't even prepare that one. And then you can also see the different audience profiles that are converting, because like I said earlier, there isn't just one kind of customer per brand. And one of the things that's popped out here is we're getting great ROAS from people that are going on TripAdvisor and look like they're traveling, which kind of makes sense, because if you're going on holiday, you're visiting somewhere, you're a tennis fan, you might want to find your local court to go and play. This one's really interesting. This is for a beauty brand we're working with, a skincare brand. And this only sort of lasted about a week, but one of the really highly converting audiences was beef cooking aficionados, which is like, you don't see that very often on like slides. We thought that was probably a bug. But then there was this article around that time which was trending, and it was all about beef tallow and the importance of that for skin health. And like all the people that work in skincare in the room probably like, this is very obvious stuff, but for a load of techie people, we were just like, why are we reaching people reading about beef? But they were delighted, and it was delivering a really good ROAS. And then a week later, it went. But that's how our system works. It's looking for all of these micro opportunities. It will bid aggressively or bid tentatively, and then it might stop. We have this lovely feature which shows the impact of this advertising across different channels, because regular people that don't work in our industry don't think about, oh, it was definitely that meta ad that made me convert and not the TV ad I showed. It was sort of all one journey. So here we can see all the different conversions that we are seeing via clicks through to your site and where they're coming from. Paid social, paid search, ChatGPT, for example. And then we can see the conversion rate of the people that saw a Quantcast ad as well. So this is the difference between people that only saw a TikTok ad, for example, and people that saw a TikTok ad and a TV ad and a podcast ad. And generally, we see these lovely uplifts. And this makes sense. You're just building effective frequency, telling your brand story in different environments. We have this AI-powered creative grader. So you drop your creative into the platform, and before you go live, it's going to tell you how likely it is to perform based on the hundreds and millions of dollars of performance campaigns we've ran in the last 20 years and the insight that we have. Most of it's really basic stuff, but we see huge performance advertisers that don't do simple things like put a call to action on their ads. And this is a real example, and like can be a bit awkward to point this out to someone that's been doing it for years, but when they made this very simple change, they got a CAC uplift of 20%. Most importantly, we know for doing this for so long that this works, this approach works. We started off in the enterprise space with big corporate brands and holding company agencies. And we've been doing this for a long time across lots of different categories. So driving really, really good results. And it's all about driving new customers. So we run brand campaigns, we run TV ads and podcast ads, but everything we want to measure down to a sale. So we have a really confident offer for you, which is if you are already using a web DSP and you can set us up on a like-for-like basis, we're going to guarantee that we beat the performance by 10%. And if we don't, we will fund the difference between those two performances. So you don't really have anything to lose by giving it a go. So in summary, we think there's a massive competitive edge to be had by diversifying into some web marketing. If you're going to do it, you should do it with a platform that's not going to distract your teams or take up any of your time. But if you're going to lean on AI, make sure it's not a black box. You can understand what's working. You can take those learnings into other channels. And it's got to be profitable. It's got to give you a good return back. So work with a performance specialist. We're upstairs. We have a little kind of, I wouldn't call it a booth, it's a table. But we're running some demos. So if you want to come and tell us about your brand, we can show you some insights that we have. You can take this QR code to get going on our platform today. But we'll be upstairs if you'd like to learn more about Quantcast. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.